Way to go. And pushing the go live to use your voice and put you at risk of coughing.
Yes.
Right? Yay. That's awesome. We
So
should stick with that kind of stuff.
I appreciate you covering for me last week. For those of you who don't
Yeah.
know, I've had COVID for 14 days, something. So
And you're still vertical, which is good.
thank
We
goodness. Yes.
yeah. We have a bug going through our house that's not COVID.
Yeah.
And my youngest daughter had it about 2 weeks ago. And then my oldest daughter came down with it after a big weekend of celebrating birthdays and sort of partying a bit. And she's brought it into the house. Now I think my wife is going down.
Uh-oh.
Who knows? Maybe I'm next. We'll see. But yeah, I'm glad it's not COVID, but it's nasty. It's like
Yeah.
102-degree fever and
Mm.
down for 3 or 4 days. It's not good.
No.
So goodness. Well,
Yes.
so
Help me. Help
last
me.
week, yeah, so last week when you weren't able to link a noun and a verb and you were trying to figure out how to convert oxygen into carbon dioxide, um and down for the count, I had a series of questions that were talking about the idea of converting leads into sales, and answered a few questions, but I only got through a few of them. So rather than just throwing those questions away, I thought maybe it would be good for you and I to chat about just a couple of them, and
Okay.
then get you back to your daily regimen of trying to recover, and get me off to a meeting that I got to go to, and do everything we can just keep the folks engaged that are with us today.
Yes. Welcome.
So yeah. So sort of shifting gears a bit. We talk a lot about lead generation here and word of mouth marketing. And that word of mouth marketing, there's sort of these general phases of things that happen with everybody's business, right? It's marketing and advertising up front. That's sort of the awareness of the problem and the solution. And then there's a promotional bit in which it's sort of a try before you buy. Oftentimes that becomes a lead magnet or something like that. And then there's the sales component, like how do we get real cash for the product or service based on the messages or the folks that are on our list. And then, finally we have to fulfill that, right? Take really good care of our customers. And then after sales care, like how do we take good care of people knowing that they're customers and they probably have some questions or need some support along the way. And now we have a list of folks that are really white hot, ready to buy something, or seemingly ready to buy something, right? It might be the mystery that like look at this list and go, aren't you going to buy? Um, so I have a series of questions that came up in a series of conversations, and one of the questions that I didn't get a chance to get to was thinking about kind of your history in these conversion cycles, right? In here's my list, now I've got a product to sell. What what things have you done in the past that have really worked well, so well that you would like to do them again?
Oh, Bradley, Bradley, Bradley. You,
What?
well,
What?
well, the struggle in answering that question
Yeah.
is that the vast majority of times that I have run campaigns and brought people onto my list or a list have been for vendors.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of their responsibility after I get them the
Okay.
leads to do the sales. So, what things have I done? Not a whole
Yeah.
lot.
Well, for you though. I mean,
Eh,
let's just forget not necessarily a viral campaign, but
Yeah.
for you in making sales, what is the most successful way for you to make sales? You're giggling because you have the same frustration everyone else does. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's got to be a better way to make these sales.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you've probably kind of stumbled upon one or two things that seems to work well for you,
Well, I
for
have.
better than anything else.
My experience with sales, frankly, sucks. Like
Okay.
many people who are starting out, I have even taken a course on how to be better at doing the sales portion of my
Okay.
business.
Okay.
So I'm still learning. The things that I have successfully done are challenges
Okay.
or webinars, which I currently have a webinar that is getting people into my mastermind, my membership.
Okay. So let's talk about the first one, a challenge. When you say challenge, what do you mean?
Well, 5 day challenge, 3 day challenge, how to grow your list, blah, 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 with the idea that at the end, I'm going to sell them training on how to take it to the next level.
Okay, so it's sort of a demo over a few days. This is what to do. Here are the steps to go through. And at the end, you say, "Hey, look, that was a little bit of success. Now let's imagine a lot of success. And
Right,
in order to get a lot of success, you can go one on one with me,
right.
or one on many with me." Um, cool. And then the webinar. What's sort of the format? Not the content, but what's sort of the format of the webinar that seems to be working well for you?
Um, Traditionally, right now, a couple of times I've tried it, it's basically the Russell Brunson, I've forgotten exactly what he calls it, kind of a webinar where you introduce yourself and you show
Okay.
examples of what successful people that have gone through your stuff do. Then you give them a bit of education and then you sell them at the end.
Okay. Cool. So it seems to be that every time you do this, you have focused, I think you focused on a specific desire that
Right,
they have and a specific solution to get that desire, right?
right, right.
So the only reason I'm sort of kind of getting back to basics is every time somebody asks me this question, the answer seems to be kind of the same. Like, figure out what the people on your list are really, really, really wanting. Figure out how to solve that problem for them and give them an opportunity to get the solution.
Right.
It's not, it shouldn't be that complicated, but I think we overcomplicate it. It's like, I don't know, maybe I should put this with this and talk about this and use these bullet points, and I don't know, maybe the color of this button is wrong and I can't do it online. And I mean, it's just kind of crazy. Um, and the reason the reason it's so I don't know, more basic for me is I do a lot of outside sales in my other life, right? I on the civil engineering and professional services side of things, I do outside sales, which means I sit at a table with individuals and I talk face to face about what they specifically need. And I have in the back of my mind this army of people who have all these really cool tools and knowledge and everything else. And I'm trying to piece together a solution that's one just not it's a custom solution. It's not like
Right.
a
It's a one off.
one size fits all, right?
Right.
And when they give me an opportunity to put a solution together and get it in front of them, my win rate's really, really high. Um, so I've just sort of learned that it just seems to be incredibly basic, and I think that we're overcomplicating it. Like, hey, look, I've got
Yeah.
this list. I don't know
Yeah.
what to do with it, and well,
Mhm.
maybe you haven't talked to your list enough. Maybe they're not talking back. And how
Well,
do you get them to talk back?
but let me see if I've got this right. Though the people that you're sitting down and talking with already know who you are to some degree, right? They know
No.
enough about you to sit down with you, don't they? Or is it just a
No.
cold call?
It's not generally a cold call. On the most successful ones, yeah, absolutely, they know me.
Right.
However, the my win rate on the folks that don't know me real well is really high, and I have a sort of canned way of getting in the door, and that is I want to learn about you, the challenges that you have, and the hopes and dreams that you're trying to accomplish in your job. I promise not to sell anything to you. I'm not coming to sell you. I'm coming to be curious. And when that happens, I get into the room and we chat for a little bit, and then I start asking questions that are really questions about curiosity. Like, I don't know, based on your experience with people like me, you don't know me from Adam, and please don't use anybody else's name because I don't want to know. What's the one thing they do so well they need to keep doing over and over and over and over again? And they go, oh yeah, I really like this particular person. Like, don't tell me. I really like this service, and these are why, and so on and so forth. And I'm like jotting down notes. Oh my gosh, this is what people are buying. This is they're buying this. Okay. And then they say, well, or then did I ask a question? The question is, what's one really, really bad habit we have as like people like me, and please don't mention names. What's one bad habit we need to solve right now? And they'll go, oh, finally, somebody asked me the question. I would love to unburden myself. I've been carrying this around for years. These are the things that they don't do. And you're like, oh my gosh, or this is what they do, and they want for me to just sort of take it, right? I mean,
Right.
one way or the
Right.
other. And I hear this very clear message that says, oh my gosh, here's the hole in the armor of my competition. And then I say, just out of curiosity, I'm really serious. What's one thing they should be doing that they're not? And please, again, don't mention names. Be like, oh, if they would just do this or this, it would be great. Like, okay, now I have the information I need to help solve their problem. And then when they come out with a statement to say, hey, look, we need to figure out how to solve these problems, well, do you mind if I put a package together for you? And then all I do is say right back to them, we're going to give you this. We're going to solve this particular bad habit, and we're going to
Uh-huh.
add this service.
Uh-huh.
Would you be willing to do it? And they go, yeah, this is
Yeah.
awesome.
Right.
It's not that hard. But they oftentimes don't know who I am from Adam.
Okay.
I have a technical background and a technical reputation, and I have qualifications. That's all I got,
Yeah.
right? But anyway, and then online, I don't think it's that much different. I think that we just don't have this exchange going on very often, and I think that's the challenge. I think people who are on your list are afraid to send you messages and talk to you
Yeah.
because they feel like, well, it's just a message. And and sometimes it kind of comes across like that. And sometimes it should come across like, hey man, I really want to know, just out of curiosity, what is it that you need done?
Yeah.
What's the biggest problem you've got right now? And don't just, give me lip service. Tell me exactly what it is so I can help.
Yeah.
So
And it's,
anyway,
I mean, what you're talking about is it's about relationships, right?
it is. It's about a relationship in that you need to know enough about the people who are asking for help that you can sincerely offer help without coming across as sort of snake oil salesperson
Right.
or
Right.
motivated by what's going in your pocket. I mean, the beauty about being an entrepreneur is that you get a chance to help other people. The good part about that is that there's an exchange of value both directions, right? You
Right.
provide value and they give you money.
Right.
Or they barter for something. I mean, there are other ways to exchange value, but you know, cash is better. Uh
Works better for me.
yeah, for sure. So
Um,
anyway,
and so the key, by the way, and I appreciate all of that input. The key for the people that are doing the entrepreneurial stuff, for example, for me, is I don't usually get to sit down one on one with somebody, right? I can
yeah,
if I reach out to people, and it's very effective. But what I would advise people to do, like what I'm trying to do, is just keep repeating, like the webinar. If you're going to pick a
yep,
webinar, do a webinar, do it multiple times,
yeah,
and listen to what the questions are,
yep,
right? Listen to
yeah,
what they're telling you at the end that you didn't quite
Right.
explain well, or whatever your offer is. And if they're saying, well, this is crap, if they don't
Right.
buy, right,
Yep.
then they're also telling you that either your pitch sucks, or
Yeah.
you're not giving them what they think they need.
That's right.
And so that's
Yeah.
the feedback loop, and you just have to keep doing it. You can't just do it once
Yeah.
and quit.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I'm right in the middle of trying to craft an offer, a deal for someone, and we've been back and forth. We started on a call, right, a face-to-face call, and this is for marketing. This is not for the other stuff. So for a marketing campaign, we started on a call, and then I heard clearly what they wanted, and I put together a proposal, and I sent it over, and we've been back and forth with a series of questions, and in those, the humbling part of that is, well, I thought I was clear about it, but I guess I wasn't, and that's cool. Let me be clear about it. And every time I go through this exercise, it gets better and better, and cleaner and easier and clearer and faster. But it takes time and practice, and man, I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm not perfect at it.
Yeah. What?
So it's just the way it works. Yeah. So how about one more question, and then we're gonna be done
Okay.
for today. If you're in the chat, feel free to say hi. Feel free to tell Mitch that you know we're glad he's here, and to feel better here, because this is a tough ask for anybody who is suffering from or recovering from COVID, to sit and chat for a while. Um, what do you think, based on what you've seen,
Uh-oh.
is the number one time waster that entrepreneurs need to avoid when they're concerned about this sales conversion process? What do you think they're wasting time on?
Shiny objects.
Ooh, ooh,
the
I dig
idea
it.
that the idea that, oh, well, I need to learn how to make sales, let me go buy the next thing. I mean, I have seen so many people that just go buy. I had one woman turn me down not too long ago for a consulting gig with her,
Yeah,
because my price was too high, because she'd just spent $100,000 buying training and consulting and stuff from other people, so she's broke.
right. Yeah, yeah.
But she
Awesome.
can't afford the person that's going to help her the most, at least
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think so, because she
yeah,
spent all her money buying a whole bunch of other crap, and
yeah.
obviously that hasn't solved her problem.
Yeah, the shiny object syndrome is really interesting, and I think it there's a lesson in there for us as business owners too. On the flip side, and two things. The first one is, on the flip side, to recognize that as soon as someone buys your product or service, they have figured out in their own brain that the problem is solved.
Right.
They haven't solved the problem, but in their own brain, they've solved the problem. And so they're willing to spend more money on the next problem and more money on the next problem. And if you, if you don't understand that, you're going to be kind of stuck, because if you don't help them actually solve the problem that they're spending money on, they're going to hate you. They're
Right.
going to have buyer's remorse,
Right.
because when they exchanged the money for the goods, they thought, well, problem solved. And then 6 months later, they go, oh my gosh, I spent all this money with John or Susie or Sally or whoever, and oh my gosh, I still have the same problem I had before. Um, and and then on the other, sort of the time wasting side, every time you buy something new, you're having to learn how to use it,
Right.
and then you have to be consistent in using it, and you have to figure out whether or not that replaced something else that you were using before that was successful. And now all of a sudden you have a hard drive full, or web tabs full of all these really amazing tools that do one small thing in the entire process, and you haven't even figured out the process yet. You
Right.
haven't done it
Right.
manually enough to justify the purchase. And so I've gotten to a point over the last few years that, generally speaking, if I'm not hung up on something, intentionally hung up, I mean, like, hey, look, this is stopping me from success, in that I have something that's working, and if I sort of spend way too much time doing this in the process, or I make too many mistakes doing this in the process, I'm just not buying extra tools.
Right.
It's just not for me. So goodness
Thank you.
gracious. Oh,
Well,
you're fine.
that's one of the reasons why, and I don't think I've justified this in my mind. Maybe I have, but that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about Thank You Page Magic, my training, and what
Yeah.
you and I are talking about, and that's word of mouth marketing isn't a shiny object, right?
No.
It's not
Yeah.
something we just made up and we're trying to sell somebody on
Yep.
something that's this brand new concept that's going to radicalize the world.
Yep.
It's as old as time. It's not anything new. And
Yeah.
you can do it without buying a whole bunch of tools.
Yeah. Yeah, and the best way to get the best word of mouth is recommendations from friends that have
Right.
already had your product or service, right?
Yeah.
And then and all we're trying to do is figure out, well, how do we incentivize them more than just feeling good about sharing with their friend? I mean, some people are wired that way, right? Some people are
Right.
like,
Right.
they go to a meeting or they gather with their friends or whatever, and they just have a heart to say, hey, I just read this really cool book. I brought a copy for you. Or hey, I just went through this training and I brought a sign up sheet because I think it's so cool. Or I was at Walmart and the Girl Scouts are selling cookies and I brought extras, right? Whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of really cool stuff that people do just out of the goodness of their heart. They're not normally thinking about it though, right? Because
Right.
we're sort of thinking inward. And if we could figure out a way to incentivize this word of mouth sharing, then all of a sudden you're right. You end up having this really cool proven process, and there's no gimmick in it. There's
Right.
no it's not it might be a special sauce, but it's a special sauce only because people have overlooked it for so dang long,
Right.
and they don't make it part of their standard process.
Right. I mean, and if you think about it, if you go back to the earlier question about sales, right?
Yep.
Sales isn't hard.
No.
There's not a whole lot of special magic, although some people say there is. This guy that I spent a lot of money on a course for said there was. But for most people, it's just a matter of learning the skill, right?
Right.
Learning
Yeah.
the processes that work.
Yep.
You don't need to have a whole bunch of special software or anything else
Right.
in terms of closing, like on a webinar or whatever tool
Yep.
you're using. You just
Yep.
have to know the those questions like you asked earlier,
Yep.
and then you make them an offer, and they go, "Well, I think you can do it," or "No, you can't," and off you go.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah, the other thing I would suggest is a big time waster is kind of going from one approach to the next without being consistent.
yeah, yeah,
Right, kind of what you were saying, right? If you find a webinar or you find a process that works, keep doing it, but keep doing it long enough to prove to yourself it doesn't work. If that's exactly kind of the challenge,
right,
most people have to see your offer anywhere between 9 and a dozen times in order for them to even take action on it. So just to imagine, hey, I got one person to, or I got, these 50 people to this webinar once, and they didn't take action, and this is not working. That's not necessarily that it doesn't work. It's
right,
just that maybe they haven't reached the threshold yet of warming up to the idea, marinating in it, figuring out whether or not it's a good solution for them, and then maybe going back and taking the same advice we've got here. Where in my process would this work? Where how would this sort of make things better and not screw up what I'm currently doing? And that's not that doesn't happen instantaneously. It takes a little
no,
while to kind of work
right,
yourself through that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But
cool. Well,
the
look,
cool,
I
the
don't
cool.
want to. I
That's
don't want
fine.
to dive too much more into anything because I want to give you your voice back and your let you wet your whistle, so to speak, and not wear you out.
Yeah, thank you. It is just really frustrating how much. this illness takes out of you. I've known people that have gone, been really bad off with it, and some
Yeah.
people that hardly even know they had it. So
Yeah.
everybody reacts differently, and be kind to anybody that tells you they've gotten it, and don't
Yeah.
humiliate them or whatever. Be kind.
Yeah, well, it seems to be that sooner or later we're all going to have had it. I
Yeah.
mean, there are only very few people on the planet have sort of a natural immunity to it, but it
Uh-huh.
sounds like everyone's going to get it, and hopefully, that we learn. Excuse me, we've learned a lot more about it and whatnot. That our survival rate is a lot higher than it used to be, and hopefully the symptoms are not nearly as intense as they used to be. So
Yes. Yes. But take care. Everybody
yeah,
take care.
and no more long haulers. I mean, that for me, I think is the scariest part, to know that you could be suffering from, you know, lung problems and pulmonary issues, for a long time. My
Yeah.
brother-in-law is a long hauler, and he's had it 3 times.
Mm.
It's just been rough, and
Yeah,
he
I
he
bet.
works he works for one of the largest hospital facilities in California, one of the largest hospital companies in California, HMO, as a mechanic, or um, mechanical sort of fixer, the HVAC and air handling systems for these big hospitals, and and he's not even where all the patients are, and he's had this thing 3 times, and it's just been crazy. So
Wow.
yeah,
Coming through the
yeah,
air system, huh?
I
Sure.
guess so.
I
Who
guess.
knows?
Yeah. Hey,
Goodness.
thanks for
Well,
asking.
yeah, no problem. So, how can people get a hold of you if they would like more information on how to get these white hot leads on their list, and then hear your stories of how you would like to help them, or lessons you've learned along the way about converting that list into sales?
I'm laughing, Bradley, because it's been so long. I panicked and I went, "Wait a minute.
Oh no.
What?
Oh
What's the
no.
URL I've been telling people to go to?"
Oh
I mean,
no.
I have literally thought nothing about any of this stuff for the last 2 weeks
I bet.
plus. Um, my dealing with my mother-in-law who's
Yeah.
had it and stuff. So anyway, joinmitch.com will take you to my newsletter, and you can opt in
Yay.
there, and I'll pump you full of great stuff there at joinmitch.com.
I can just see, like, you gotta, when you join the list, you gotta put a rubber hose in your mouth, and he's gonna go whoosh, 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 and start
Yeah.
pumping things into your brain. That's
Yeah.
awesome. You could get a hold of me if anybody's interested in wordofmouthmarketingsecrets.com. You can send me an email at bradley@waldropcommunications.com, or you can call me. I know it's a little strange thing, but these
Very,
things work,
very.
I promise. 916-314-0413. And all of that to say, I like talking to people. So if
Yeah.
you call me, I will talk to you, and I will ask you all kinds of fun questions, because I want to learn. And when I learn, I do a lot better trying to help people. So don't be afraid of calling or emailing or whatever, and we'll do everything we can to take care of you guys. And you're muted. You're muted. I can't hear you.
My phone started to ring,
Hey, there you go.
and
Now
I
I can hear you.
lost all sound. So anyway, I assume you
That's
wrapped everything
awesome.
up. Let's go.
I did. Yep. Let's go. Have a good rest of the day, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for
Bye.
coming in.